Long time no see, but hey, college football is starting today, so I am back. It's not really the official start of college football. That's next week, but we've got a couple of games here, and I'm going to break them both down for you. I've got a complimentary play on Arizona-Hawaii, the game that I really like, and I've got my insight for what it's worth on Miami of Florida and Florida. I say for what it's worth because I think the last time I won a game involving Miami of Florida was at least 17 years ago. And I've got a complimentary baseball play as well. So, the big news, however, today is it's time to reward you for your loyalty and your patronage. Listen, today, single biggest discount of the year goes today. You save 30% on your total purchase price by using coupon code 30%. 30PERCENT. Sing it after me. 30%. 30PERCENT. It's a mix and match coupon, which means it's good for any single picks or packages, any combination of those as well. The only limitation is you've got to put everything in your shopping cart at one time to maximize your savings. And should you have any questions, you can always contact customer service as well. Again, that coupon code is 30%. I do it now, and I do it at one other time during the year as well, at the beginning of the baseball season, to reward those of you that have been here throughout the baseball season, because you are the diehard gamblers, just like me. You are the guys that stay here and keep betting throughout the summer, the dog days of summer, because one, you realize how easy it is to make money in baseball, right? And if you've been a client of mine, you made a lot of money this summer, certainly. But you realize that baseball is a sport that takes a lot of endurance, and it is a sport that you certainly can use to build a bankroll. So when football starts, you're playing with somebody else's money, i.e. your bookmaker. And let's face it, you are our best customers, because you are there year in, year out. If I was to take a pie, and 100% of that pie is betting football, by the time March Madness rolls around, about 85% of that pie is still betting. When the NBA playoffs get into full swing, maybe about 30% of that pie is still betting. And in baseball, you're looking at about 10% of that pie is still betting. I think it's foolish. I think gamblers, I think those that abandon gambling at that time of the year in the summer, I think it's just stupid, because there's so much money to be made, easy money in the easiest sport. But I understand why, because it takes endurance, again, to continue to do it day in, day out during the summer. But again, this is my way of rewarding you for your patronage. So again, 30% is the discount coupon code, 30PERCENT. Maximize your savings. It's good for any combination of picks and or packages. Now, with that being said, past couple of months that I haven't been around, I've moved again. Kept my one house in Pennsylvania, but bought another house as well. So that's been interesting, as I've learned that furnishing a second house from scratch, boy, that's a pain in the ass, let me tell you. Done a little traveling, and I've had time to reflect. I thought, I've been doing these video reports in one shape or another for some 17 years, and I thought, when I returned, I'd be gentler. I'd be less sarcastic. A lot less snark. And I thought, who the hell am I kidding? I mean, the whole reason you do these video reports, if you're me, is because you've got a lot of angst built up. You've got to get it out. You got to have a place, an outlet to blow off steam. And that's what these video reports are for. So earlier this morning, I'm driving in my car, I'm listening to Sirius radio, and I'm listening to one of the channels I usually do, the Beatles channel. And I don't know if you ever listened to the Beatles channel. I mean, it's fascinating. I think it's the best channel on Sirius. Every time one of the Beatles, and they play a soundbite from Paul, John, Ringo, or George, without failure, about 7 or 8 seconds into every single soundbite, a very sexy woman with an incredibly sexy voice interrupts to tell you, Paul McCartney on Playing the Cavern Club for the first time. John Lennon on Growing Up in Liverpool. It's the Beatles channel. We know the voices of John, Paul, George, and Ringo. It's the Beatles channel. What do you have to do interrupting every single soundbite? We know who these guys are. It's the Beatles channel. But without failure, every single soundbite She pops in there at 7 or 8 seconds and tells you, Paul McCartney on playing drums for the first time with Ringo. It's amazing to me. The other thing with Sirius Radio is that how can there be a Dave Matthews channel? Raise your hand. Are there any Dave Matthews fans out there? Is there any Dave Matthews fans out there that would ever possibly listen to that channel? I mean, listen, they've got to have channels. I mean, I think if you ever had one hit song, you can have a Spandau Ballet. You can have a Sirius channel because you had a hit in 1984. I mean, I don't understand. A Dave Matthews channel on Sirius Radio. The other thing about Sirius Radio is so many of the channels, it's paid radio, right? You're paying for it, right? So why do we have to have the jocks, or excuse me, the on-air talent, the on-air personalities? Why do you have to talk over the end of the songs? Why do you have to give the pitter-patter at the beginning of the songs? I want to hear the whole songs. I want to hear the beginning notes. I want to hear the end notes. I don't want you to interrupt the music. And that's what they do on so many of the channels. Play the damn songs, start to finish. This is not terrestrial radio. It's not supposed to be. It's commercial-free radio. Except on half the channels, that's not the case. Okay, I feel better now, so let's get to your complimentary play. Arizona is playing Hawaii tonight. Biggest thing you've got to remember in the first couple of weeks of college football, and even the NFL, but especially in college football, you will hear numerous guys on TV and radio, and you will read numerous publications, and this used to tick me off even when I used to be a sports reporter many years ago. You will hear guys say, well, so-and-so team has 17 starters back. This defense has 8 starters back from last year's unit. Okay, let me ask you this. If a defense has 8 starters back from last year's unit, and that defense sucked a year ago, is it going to be appreciably better this season? No. In coach speak, you'll hear them say, well, they're going to coach them up. What is this? Are we watching Friday Night Lights here? They're going to coach them up? I mean, seriously? Coach them up? If a unit gave up 36 points a year ago, and they have 8 starters back, are you going to coach them up and suddenly they're only going to give up 22 points this season? Rare exceptions, it happens. Rarely, it happens. That's reality. So when I tell you that Hawaii has 9 starters back on defense from a year ago, and Hawaii's defense couldn't stop a Pee-wee squad last season, when I tell you Arizona's defense has 8 starters back from a year ago, and this Arizona team couldn't stop anybody a year ago, what does it matter? There's going to be plenty of points scored here. So you have to look at the offense. The offense for these two teams. When you have a Hawaii team that plays that run and shoot, it's tough to prepare for. Is this as tough to prepare for when you have a team like Army that has a triple option? No. But you know you are going to be attacked relentlessly from start to finish. They are just going to come and throw that damn ball, and you are going to have to be on your toes defensively throughout. And I think that's going to be problematic for Arizona today because this game is being kicked off at 4:30 Eastern Time in Hawaii, and it's going to be hot. Now listen, I was in Tucson earlier this summer. It was hot as hell in Tucson, but it wasn't humid. And it's going to be humid in Honolulu today, and I think that's going to affect Arizona's defense in the second half of this contest. You got a Hawaii team that has, I think, 8 starters back from its offense from a year ago, led by quarterback Cole McDonald, who threw for 3,800 yards and 36 touchdowns. He lost his number 1 receiver, but he's got everybody else coming back. Now, Arizona, they got a healthy Khalil Tate. Now, hopefully this guy will more resemble the guy who 2 years ago ran for 1,400 yards and 12 touchdowns than the guy last year who, because of a multitude of injuries, ran for only 237 yards and 1 touchdown. He was not the same quarterback when he was limited to pocket passing. But he lost his top 2 wide receivers. He does have a very good running back coming back in J.J. Taylor, who ran for over 1,400 yards. But he does have Kevin Sumlin as a coach, and I think that always is a problem for Arizona. I don't think Kevin Sumlin is much of a coach. And listen, Kevin Sumlin last year, remember what happened? They lost their opener to BYU, became very detached, didn't really bond with the Tucson faithful. They thought they were getting an upgrade from Rich Rodriguez. They found out otherwise in Kevin Sumlin's first year when they failed to make the playoffs. This team was dreadful on the road. Games outside of Tucson last year, the 3 losses, they went 1-4 overall. 3 of the losses were blowouts at Houston, at Utah, and Washington State. They trailed at the end of the first quarter on those 3 blowout losses, 56-7, 114-14 at halftime. Do I think that Arizona is going to lose this game? No. But You're talking about a double-digit point spread in this game. I've got to take the home dog. Now, this line was 11 earlier. It dropped to 10.5 this morning. I think it's going to drop to 10 points by halftime because a lot of people are going to be like me and go, I got to take the double-digit dog here. Does Arizona play in a better conference? Yes. But is Arizona any good? No. Does Hawaii attack you nonstop? Yes, and that is reason enough for me to take the Rainbow Warriors in this game because they've got that underdog mentality, and I think it pays off here with a cover getting the points. Now, Miami of Florida and Florida. So Manny Diaz is the head coach. Defensive coordinator the past 3 years, head coach at Temple University for, I think, 13 and a half minutes this summer. Who's Miami's quarterback? You've got an unproven commodity. Sure, he named Jaron Williams as the redshirt freshman as the starter instead of the Ohio State transfer Tate Martell. This is just a recipe for disaster. You're counting on the defense to stop a Florida offense that played pretty well at the end of the last season with Franks at quarterback. And, I don't know. Dan Mullen had that offense purring late last season, but I still think there's a lot of holes in this Florida defense. I still think this Florida offense is somewhat inconsistent. It's tempting to take the points +7 with Miami. It's not a home game. It's being played in Orlando, the first meeting between these two teams since 2013. I know Miami's won 7 of the last 8, blah, blah, blah. But those two teams aren't playing. The two teams that played back in the late 90s and the early aughts, no. I think the under is probably the way I would lean toward this game. Not a game that I'm particularly enthused about. Up to 2, again, I like Hawaii plus the points. Another team in Miami, though, I do like today, and that'd be the Marlins as a slight home dog against Philadelphia. I mean, listen, the Phillies last night jump out to a 7-run lead, and they lose that game 119-7. Their bullpen, total, utter collapse last night. And they're going to need their bullpen today because Zach Eflin, who is only in the rotation because you and I aren't available to pitch for the Phillies right now. He rejoined the rotation last Saturday against San Diego, lasted 3 2/3 innings, gave up 7 hits, 3 runs, and walked 2 batters. This is a guy who, since the All-Star break, is 0-3 with an 8.18 earned run average in 8 outings, 4 of them starts. This is a guy who has been bludgeoned by Miami throughout his career in 7 starts a lifetime against Miami, a 4.47 earned run average. At Marlins Park in Miami, he's been even worse, 0-2 with a 7.29 earned run average in 4 career starts in South Florida. 0-2 in 2 starts at Miami this year with an 8.10 earned run average. I know that Jordan Yamamoto has not pitched well here of late, but I was very encouraged with his last start at Colorado, where he had his best outing in probably a 6-week period, where he worked 5 2/3 innings, gave up only 4 hits, both runs coming on homers, and he struck out a career-high 9 batters. So I'm going to go with the fish or the Finns here as a slight home dog as your complimentary play. That'll do it, guys, and I wish you well, and I'll talk to you again soon.